I am late to the party, but I'm here. And it is finally time to talk about the new series Pachinko, which is fantastic. Episodes are available now, but I'm here to talk about the whole season. So let's start that review right now. What's up, folks, and welcome back to the channel today for another review. And today we're going to be reviewing the series Pachinko, which the first 3 episodes are available now. Episode 4 will be available April 1st, and then there will be a new episode each and every following Friday till you get to chapter 8. But it's on Apple TV Plus, and if you have not checked it out, catch up right now, because I was a little bit late. I was busy covering a few other things, but I had this on my radar. And upon checking it out, ooh, this is so good in so many different ways. This was so good, so much heart, really heartfelt, but just really just devastating at times. And just the performances were so strong, and just so many different things that I got from this series that I just can't wait to get into. So let's jump into my notes, because it is 8 episodes, and I want to make sure I definitely give you a lot of the specifics of things I definitely feel like you need to know. Now, first off, if you don't know what a Pachinko is, it's basically a Japanese arcade game, and the purpose of like this being the title is because well, I'll get to that, but the overall scope of this series, based on a novel, which, by the way, I'm just going to go ahead and say I am ready for a season 2, because there seems to be more story told, and I absolutely want to check out this book, because I did some research, and just how much more of this story is left is definitely intriguing, and I really need Apple TV to greenlight the season 2 already, because I'm completely invested, like straight up. But this is it's basically a sweeping saga, chronicles the hope of dreams of a Korean immigrant family across 4 generations as they leave their homeland in an indominant quest to survive and thrive. So let me put it this way. We're following a family from 4 different generations, which means some of these characters we're seeing 3 different eras of their life, being a kid, being an adult, being an elder, to the point that they're seeing their grandkids, all sorts of different things. You're following this family's journey, and with them bouncing around in the timelines, like, it's really refreshing, and just being able to like be invested with the characters, but also being able to like put together stories and psychology of the characters, and understanding the trauma and just everything, how they done this was like really put together really well, like really good. And I strongly suggest, whether you want to check out the New York Best Time Seller by the author Min Jin Lee, or don't want to jump into this, just do so now. Really, because I really do think that once people catch on to this, it's going to just be all the way uphill with it. And this series just gave me just an emotional roller coaster, like an emotion, or a roller coaster of emotions, shall I say? Because when we're following our lead in Sunja, and again, we're catching her from 3 different eras of her life. We're getting teenage, we're getting the young. As a kid, we're catching her as an elder. It's just so much emotion in all 3 of the performances. And she is a Korean woman who basically is trying to survive. She gets pregnant at a young age, and this is almost forbidden in her country to do so without being married. The guy that she ends up being pregnant by does not want to have a family with her. She then meets and marries a Japanese man. She leaves her home, and she goes to Japan not knowing a single thing, not understanding the culture, the climax of this new nation. Just so many different things. It's just a complete learning curve, but at the same time leaving her mother back, and just filled with emotion, with the ultimate sacrifice, and just everything that she's been through as a kid, into in this journey, and then going into this almost mysterious beyond. It's just really a journey of hers, and then seeing who she becomes as a woman throughout the years is so special, which they display, because as I said, they get to the elder parts of her life, and just seeing what she grew and blossom into is truly special. I would start naming some of the cast members, which I would absolutely know I would mess up some of the names, but I'm here to say that like everybody, literally everybody, brought something special to this series. But every single actor who was acting in as Sunja, just so good, so good. And even the continuity between all of them was really well, as shall I mention. Then you have Solomon, who basically is born into more of a wealthy family. His family sends him to America. He's into real estate. And ultimately, you know, with so many different things happening right now, this ultimately lands him back in Japan. And just his journey in terms of, you know, from Japan to New York and back, just his childhood, his current struggles, and even his childhood friend / love in Hannah, is just a very interesting arc in its own. And like I said, the real estate business, we know how unpredictable that could be, but just for somebody like Solomon and his journey, and just how home is where the heart is at, is such a really unique story of his own. And again, I just love how all these things really intertwine. So like all these stories interconnect. You get different vantage points and like different, and even like very uniquely parallel storytelling, where you're seeing like an instance of something happening at one point of their life, and then you see originally where that came from. Like it just does a lot of unique things, you know. Getting more into everything. Now, Han-soo, who is he's the guy that gets Sunja pregnant, and eventually he comes off as appears to be one thing, but she actually reveals that he's something completely different. I can tell you exactly what it is, but it's a spoiler. But like the fact of how he just completely abandons her and then tries to ruin her life beyond this is just disgusting. But it also is a testament to Sunja's character, of everything she's been through, and just how she just continues to show resilience, which is a really like strong and powerful quality amongst the many that she has. So yeah. And again, from seeing episodes where and it's not linear, by the way, it's jumping around. But seeing episodes of them being elder, Sunja being elder with her grandkids, and then seeing her as a kid with her grandparents and or with her parents, and then, you know, everything. It's just, it gives you so much more appreciation about the character, just seeing it in full circle. And then beyond all of this too, like we're actually getting to understand the way of the world during these different periods, because obviously with there being 4 different generations of storytelling being told here, you know, the way of the land definitely changes drastically through these times. So like you're getting all sorts of different things happening here, but more or less you are getting the scope into the Korean culture, the Japanese culture, the conflict amongst the two of them, and just the complete challenges for one another, especially for the Koreans, who there's a lot of very dark history for them. Or shall I say more dark history for the Japanese upon how they treated the Koreans, and just really seeing and hearing, you know, these stories and the depiction of these stories and how folks just had to survive is like such a powerful thing. I mean, another thing you can think about too is also the earthquake of 1923 and in the Kanto region, where this basically killing 100,000 lives. And it was such a powerful episode too, because with natural disasters being the cause of a lot of lives, that number 100,000 is not just because of the natural disaster, but also because the Japanese actually decided to take matters into their own hand by killing and targeting innocent Koreans who were basically scapegoat because of everything that's happening. They had to leave their home, and that's the other thing too about certain Koreans who were removed from their home and was never able to go back. It's a very sad story. It's devastating to say the least, you know. But yeah, with that being said, each and every episode kind of starts off in a different year, and also at the end of the episodes, it states like facts of these years. So like a lot of education is being poured into this as well too. With that being said, it is spoken in Korean and Japanese and English, and of course if you need help with that, the captions blue are for Japanese and yellow is for Korean, so that way you can, you know, differentiate what language is being spoken. And I love the intro. Really had a really upbeat tempo feeling, and each and every episode sort of gives you a new style and new take of it. But it does provide a lot of energy to kind of get you prepared into the episode and for all things to come, because there's so much emotion that just goes on. And the finale is so good. I mean, performances from the entire cast, even the very, very young one, and with just so much drama and just it's just a ball of emotion, and just really being able to look into Sunja's face, both the elder and then the teen version. It just really expresses just how dire certain situations was, and you just are so you're so connected and so invested into the character. You're not human if you don't feel something. And so many different times I was just completely broken for her, because it was difficult, but you just continue to see her just show resilience left and right, and man, this is just a tearjerker to the max. And I guess to be a little bit more specific about Sunja, you know, her from surviving and having to learn to adapt to that, from her learning and needing to protect hers and her family, just the learning, all these sorts of different things that she had to do in order to make it in Japan is nothing short than formidable. Like, she continued to just, whatever adversity was in front of her, she continued to thrive, and just learning confidence and pride and all these sorts of different things for herself, her country, and her family, just everything. And even there's a watch that is handed down in the family, has a very interesting story arc of its own, that seeing that come full circle and everything was like really an amazing story, like for real. And then just thinking about this, her being young and basically was going to be exiled from her country because of her, the situation of her being pregnant and not being married, which is, strictly forbidden in their country, but leaving the country, being married, going to a new country, sick, not understanding the way of the land, not understanding the culture, the language. It's just so much that one could bear. And for her to have to go through all this, and you just see the constant tears and emotions, but there's light at the end of the tunnel, and this is so special. The Sunja story is so special. And then at the very, very end of the series is a very, very, very special surprise where we get to hear interview testimonies from Korean women, actual, and their actual story, and hearing about their struggles and their testimonies, and how this must be a testament to the story being told here, and it just doesn't get much more realer than that. You know what I mean? It's sad. Hearing how sad they were and lonely, and just how they were just little girls removed, from their homes and removed from their country, and they're trying to survive, and then, trying to keep their culture as live as they can, talking about kimchi, talking about rice, and just, how they had to use this to survive, and then the language barrier, and just, not being able to get back to their country, and, not to mention just when you hear their age, and then hearing how much of their life they were removed from their own country. I mean, it's something for real. It's truly something. I feel like I rambled along, but I just want to make it very clear that Pachinko is a series that you want to watch. It is fantastic production. The cinematography is really good. The acting is really good. The story, the script, the performances with it, these characters, everything is super good. You will be invested. And if you just like a really good feel good story, but yet, you know, before you get to that moment of feel good, just very genuine stories about a culture that you may not be familiar with, and a few characters about their journeys of adapting into a new society and a new culture, having to leave and sacrifice everything home, and just, you know, immigrants and their will to survive. You know, it's a special story, and then this was one that I'm definitely watching again. It's not even a question. It's not even a question. But totally, if you checked out the first 3 episodes, continue with it until you get to the 8. It is fantastic. And if you have not, jump in here right now. It is time for you to pick up this series, and let me know in the comments when you do. And as always, stay tuned for more reviews very soon.